how are you? So today we are going to study about a topic which is based on numbers. So can you guess the topic? Yes, it is correct. So today we are going to learn about rational numbers. So without any further ado, let's start. So first of all, we need to understand the definition of rational number. So number which can be written in the form of p by q, where p is the numerator and q is the denominator, and p and q are integers, and also q is not equal to 0, and those numbers are called as rational numbers. So here I have written some numbers, you can see, which are written in the form of p by q. Here the numerator is 5, the denominator is 8, the numerator is minus 2, the denominator is 6, the numerator is minus 7, the denominator is 5. So let's move on to the next topic. If we talk about integers that we have studied in our earlier classes, then we know that there are positive integers and negative integers. So we also conclude that the integers can also included in the form of rational numbers. So all the integers are rational numbers also. For example, if I take minus 5 and it is a negative integer, then it can be written in the form of rational number. 5 minus 5 can be written as minus 5 by 1. So this is again a form of rational number. So we can prove that all the integers can be written in the form of rational numbers. So students, now we will study how to reduce a rational number to its standard form. So for that, let's take an example of a rational number. So here the number I have taken is minus 35 by 30. So now we have to reduce to its standard form. So for that, we have to find the HCF of 35 and 30. So let's find the HCF of 35 and 30. We all know from earlier classes that HCF of 35 and 30 is equal to 15. So if you want to know more about HCF, I will teach in the next classes. For now, let's assume that this is HCF of 35 and 30. So our next step will be to divide the HCF, divide the numerator and the denominator with the HCF. So step 2 will be, this will be step 1. This will be step 2. So now after dividing the numerator and the denominator by the corresponding HCF, we can reduce the rational number to its standard form. So what will be our final answer? Our final answer will be minus 3 upon 2. So this will be our answer. So this is the complete process of reducing our rational number to its standard form. So let's move to the next slide. From our previous classes, you already know how to compare two integers or two fractions or basically two numbers. Here we will study how to compare two rational numbers. So let us take an example. So here I have taken an example 2 by 3 and 5 by 2. So you can see from this example that the denominators of both the fractions or the rational numbers are different. So our first step should be to make the denominators of these two fractions equal. So let's start with our step 1. So to make the denominators of these two rational numbers equal, we need to find the LCM of these two numbers. So from previous classes we know that the LCM of 3 and 2 is 6. So after finding the LCM of these two denominators, now our next step must be to convert the denominators of these two fractions and make them equal so that we can compare further. So let's make the denominators equal. So to make the denominators equal, we have to multiply the denominators of each rational number with the LCM. So we see that we have made the denominators equal. So we are in final stage to compare the two rational numbers. So let's move to our step 3. So after making the denominators equal, we can easily compare the two rational numbers by comparing the numerators. So we see that 4 is less than 15. So we will put a less sign in front of 15 by 6. So 4 by 6 will be less than 15 by 6, and now we can compare the original numbers. Very easy. So this is the entire process of comparing two rational numbers. The denominators are different. So let's move on to the next one. From our previous process, we know that we can find various numbers between two numbers, like in two integers we can find many integers. But here we are taking the concept of rational number, and two in that case that have the different denominators. If the rational numbers have same denominator, then it becomes quite easy to find numbers between them. But if the denominators are different, then we have to use the previous concept of finding the taking the denominators equal, and then we will extend this idea to solve this problem. So let's take two numbers and then find many rational numbers between them. So here we have taken -1 by 2 and 2 by 3. So we can see that the denominator of both the rational numbers are different. So in order to find the rational numbers between them, first we have to make the denominators equal. So let's do that. So we know from the previous discussion that the LCM of 2 by first we have to find LCM of the two denominators, then we can easily convert them. So from previous discussion we know that LCM of 2 by 3 is 6. So our next step will be to make the denominators equal. So we have converted the denominators and now they are equal. So we are in complete stage and complete state to perform the operation of finding the two rational numbers between two rational numbers. Okay. So let's move to our step 3. So to find the rational numbers between -3 by 6 and 4 by 6, we can write -2 by 6, -1 by 6, 0, 1 by 6, 2 by 6, 3 by 6, 4 by 6. So we can see from this discussion that we can easily now find the rational numbers with two rational numbers having different denominators. So let's move on to the next topic. So students, from our previous discussion or from our process, we know how to add two integers or two factors. Here we will see how to add two rational numbers. So first of all, I have taken two rational numbers -9 by 10 and 21 by 15. So we will now perform the operation of addition on these two rational numbers. So we see that the denominators of both the rational number are different. So first of all, we need to make the denominators equal. So for that again, we use the previous concept and find the LCM of 10 by 15. So from our previous discussion or from our previous classes, we understand that the LCM of 10 by 15 is 30. Since we have now found the final LCM, now move to the next step. So our second step will be to get the denominators equal. So again, from our previous discussion, we can do it now very easily. So see, here in our step to get converted the denominators and make them equal. So our final step will be perform the operation of addition with these two rational numbers. So we add by 27 by 13 and 44 by 13. So see the denominators are equal. initially we have added two rational numbers. Since the denominators are different, so we find the LCM and then we converted the denominators and made them equal. In the final step, we have added the denominators use this step to perform the operation of addition. So let's move on to the division part. So students, now we move to the division part. So here I have taken two rational numbers, -1/8 and 3/4. So if we want to divide these two rational numbers, we have to use a concept. The concept is that we are not going to perform this operation. It will be done by multiplying one rational number by other non-zero rational number, the reciprocal of other non-zero rational number. So it means that this is -1/8. The result sign will be converted into the multiplicative sign, and we will take the reciprocal of 3/4. So reciprocal of 3/4 will be 1/4. Now it becomes very easy to multiply these two rational numbers, numerator by numerator and the denominator by denominator. So the answer is -4/24. And since we know that -4/24 is not reduced to its standard form, so we will again divide the numbers numerator and denominator by their HCF. And since we can convert them in so in this way we can divide the two rational numbers. So this was all about addition and division part. Now let's move to the next topic. Friends, now we will study how to divide two rational number on a number line. So from the previous classes we know how to represent integers or numbers on a number line. So we will use that concept and that idea and will extend that idea to study or to learn this topic. So first of all, let's take rational number. Before taking rational number, I want to teach you a concept like what is proper fraction and improper fraction. So proper fractions of those fractions, those proper fractions of those fractions of the numerator is less than its denominator. So each one of these fractions, we see that the numerator is less than the denominator. So these type of fractions are called as proper fractions. And what are improper fractions? Those fractions, those denominators are less in numerator. Like then we see that the denominator are small and the numerators are large. So these type of fractions are called as improper fractions. So we will remember this concept because these are very useful in studying our next topic. So students, now we will first take the case of proper fraction. So we have taken -1/8. Here the numerator is less than the denominator. This is the proper fraction. So our first step now. Now, since we see that there is a negative sign in front of the rational number, so we know that all negative numbers, negative integers are marked to the left of 0. So we will mark this -5/8 on the left of 0. Now, what is your second step? Now, remember the concept that whenever we will take a case of the proper fraction, then that proper fraction will always be marked between 0 and 1. So this is always true for all proper fractions. So with the help of these two concepts, first draw a normal number line. So here we have drawn a number line. This is the number. And this is number. Now, another important point that I forgot to mention here, that since there is a negative sign in front of the proper fraction, so our number will not be between 0 and 1, but it will be between 0 and -1. This is an important change. So please correct in your box. So now, here 0 at 1, and here it is -1. So now, what will be step 3? Now, here we have minus sign technique. So you see the denominator is 8. So we have to write -1 in the form of this fraction number. This number must be 8. So how will you write -1? So you see that -1 can be written in the form of -8 in this way, you see that we have marked minus this. We conclude our today's session. So I hope you enjoyed today's class and today's concepts. So please like, share and subscribe for more amazing content. Till then, stay tuned.